Welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where we discuss, examine, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape, but with a special emphasis on our black and gold squads of the
Mizzou
and Iowa Hawkeyes. And we got a very special episode for you today. It is going to be our 2022 National Championship Game preview and predictions coming your way. And as you can see, I am joined by the eye candy, the living, breathing, walking, talking Venus de Milo, the true Adonis of a man. Charlie Oswald is back with me today to provide us a little bit of insight. And I'm your host, Blair Parks. Holla at you, boy, as normal. And we are so pumped up. I can't believe this. National Championship Game is 3 days away.
You know what's bad about it is the fact that it just seemed like it was 2 weeks ago, and a blink of an eye, season's over.
I know. I mean, it's crazy how the sun is setting already on another college football season.
Yes.
I mean, but kind of unofficially, our seasons have been over with, unofficially, since Missouri and Iowa bowl games have come to a close. So now we get to go into our 9-month slumber. I mean, it's depressing. It's depressing.
Okay. You know, because April comes, we have spring games.
That's true.
Get a little bit, we can go see some stuff and go watch some football.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, to think of that Adam Sandler movie, Click, right? Granted, we're both married, we both have multiple children, but if I was a single dude, I get depressed. I could just fast forward. That'd be great,
yes.
Right? I mean, that's what it reminds me of. Sometimes I just want to have that ability. Click. Fast forward, right, and rewind as needed. But yeah, I can't believe it. Already, it's coming to a close. They get quicker and quicker every season, don't they?
They do.
Before we get further, I want to just go ahead and give some quick shout out and love to a new member of the Black and Gold family, Brett Bates. Even though he does root for the blue and white of Kentucky, he commented on my episode earlier this week, my reaction and recap to the 2022 Citrus Bowl. Thanks, Brett, for your kind words. I love that. And as always, we encourage any comments, questions, concern, thoughts, anything. And whenever possible, I try to share that on air with you, the rest of the Black and Gold family, and all college football fans. But the one thing that he was kind of hating on, and I get it, was my shirt, my attire. He definitely did not. He wasn't a big fan of my.
He's a Kentucky fan. What do you expect?
But still, I love this. I want to get the insight from other fan bases. We want that. We encourage it. Yeah, he just wasn't a big fan of my Citrus Bowl attire. I mean, let me show you what I'm talking about. In case you missed that episode, this is what it was. It's a little. This definitely screams out tropics. It screams out Florida. A little, Citrus Bowl Iowa love. But he wasn't a big fan. But he said, each to his own. If you like it, you like it. And me, it's Iowa apparel, so I love it. And I have to because it was a gift from my wife. So I love it. So thanks, though, Brett. Really appreciate it. And once again, always, we want your insight. We want your questions, your comments, your concerns. Now, maybe if another person might have donned this attire, like this guy right here, he would definitely make this look good. But me, like I've said several times through the season, you can't do much about this. I'm sorry. I feel like if I went to a plastic surgeon, they'd say, hey, I'm a plastic surgeon, not a miracle worker. I can't make it look better. But thanks, Brett, and to all of you throughout the season. And big shout out to all of you. We really appreciate your time, your support, everything that you do for the Black and Gold channel. Please feel free, share, like, comment, subscribe. Let's keep a good thing going. And we're definitely picking up a lot of momentum lately. A lot more viewers, a lot more likes, comments. We love that. So thank you all. And also, happy belated, happy holidays to all of you.
That's right. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. All right. But it's so great to be reunited with you again. I can't wait to get this going.
Yes.
Reunited and it feels so good. Little Peaches and Herb there. I believe that's who sings it.
Are you Peaches or are you Herb?
We can have that debate off air. It's definitely not Sexual Chocolate and Randy Watson.
That's it.
Sexual Chocolate. This is fun. I love this. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let me just go ahead and before we give our predictions, Charlie and I have not discussed who we've picked to win the national championship game. It's vital. It's pivotal. It might be the same team. It might be opposite teams. But why it's so important is right now, bowl season, Charlie and I come into the national championship game at even records. So I have the chance to at least claim the crown during bowl season, but overall, no matter what happens, Charlie here, I got to give credit where credit is due and respect where it's deserved and earned. This man, hands down, is the runaway winner for the Touchdown Black and Gold inaugural Pick'em tournament that we've had going on all season. Coming into bowl season, I trailed him by 12 games, so I needed a Christmas miracle to come back and overtake him. Didn't happen, so Charlie, props, love to you. Well done.
Thank you.
Now the prize, we got to figure out something, all right? But this man's got bragging rights for a whole season. But next year, I'm coming back, all right?
Bring it on, brother.
I'm coming back.
Bring it on.
All right. But maybe I just thought I was a putz for thinking I could defeat you straight up. Just call me Putz McPutzington, I guess. But anyway, let's get to the national title game preview. And a little bit of a rewind. I mean, after a season like none other, I mean, we saw so many upsets, the parity, the rise and fall of programs who normally are the haves, who became have-nots, and vice versa. But when the smoke cleared, what do we have? Georgia versus Bama. Big surprise, right, Charlie?
Right. It's when it comes to college football, it just seems like it's getting any more where it's always the same. And it was so nice to see Michigan and Cincy be in the playoffs instead of the same, Notre Dame, Clemson, or Ohio State. So,
yeah.
It's nice to see that. And what really made it nice was the fact that our boy Luke Fickell got Cincinnati to that point. They lost, but I tell you what, from a talent standpoint, what Alabama's roster has compared to what he has, those boys played great.
Yeah.
And props to them.
Yeah, it was. 27-6. It was a highly contested game. It was not easy for Alabama at all. When people think, we heard this already. I'm sure you did. And obviously, we're trying to stay in our lanes here. We'll try to keep this under 40 minutes for you guys today. But I heard a lot of after that as well. This is why we told you Cincinnati didn't belong. They don't deserve it. But how many times have we seen Alabama wax people's asses in the playoffs? By way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Last year with Notre Dame, for example.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Cincinnati was a great showing, and they absolutely deserve to be there. So once again, like Charlie said, just for a non-Power 5 program to shatter that glass ceiling, to get to the playoff, we may never see that again in our lifetime.
But to me, in my opinion, that argument is irrelevant that a non-Power 5 school does not belong. Yeah. Go back when Boise State, Statue of Liberty play, upset Oklahoma.
The success.
There's other teams that have been there and got it done.
Absolutely.
Granted, that wasn't the playoffs, but that year Oklahoma was a relevant team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so this game is a rematch, and once again, probably the two best teams are meeting. Georgia absolutely flexed all season long. They definitely deserve to be in the national title game. Alabama, they're deserving. They got it done, but they had kind of an up and down season. They had to prove it late, and they did. So I think we got the two best teams vying for the national championship.
And I know it's my conference, so I can say this. Outside of the SEC East, outside of Georgia, this year it was Georgia, then everybody else.
Yeah.
So was it really? I mean, they flexed. They got it done. They won and they had, but at the same time, I'd like to see them play a little more challenging stuff. And I think next year, what Kentucky's got coming in, Mizzou, Tennessee, Heupel's get them playing again.
Yeah, good season for his first
Beamer,
year.
I mean, he's got good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got good genes. Look at this, and I think that South Carolina is going to start coming back up. It's going to start getting more challenging,
more
and it's going to be. But I mean, really, Georgia hasn't really played anybody outside of Bama.
Yeah. That Clemson game, the first game, that ended up being not as big of a game as we thought because Clemson had hard times, but they came back at the end of the year. They got to double-digit wins, but that was only a 10-3 ball game.
Yeah.
A pick six was the deciding factor.
Right.
I mean, so how really challenged were they? But, hey, push came to shove, they're there, and they do deserve to be. There's no doubt about it. This will be a rematch of the SEC title game that took place weekend of the 4th of December. Coming into the matchup, Georgia was undefeated. Flexing defense, allowing less than a touchdown a game, which is unheard of. That is just insanity. I mean, just BANANAS, bananas, and it is. But Alabama was able to defeat them very soundly, 41-24. So let me set the stage here. So we have number 1 Alabama coming in, record 13-1, 11-1 record in the regular season with that one loss to Texas A&M. Against number 3 Georgia, also 13-1, perfect 12-0, a perfect conference record regular season. Right now, the odds makers in Vegas have Georgia as a 2.5-point favorite in this game, and the over/under has been set at 52 points to kind of set the stage here. And the game will be this Monday, the 10th of January, 7 p.m. in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium. So that is the stage. And right there, I mean, you said the SEC is matching up. I mean, and I got to say this as a Big Ten man, that, you know, Indianapolis is all Big Ten. That is Big Ten country through and through. They love their athletics. Indiana, Purdue, that's where, you know, the Big Ten title game is played every year. Every other year, the Big Ten men's basketball tournament is in Indianapolis. But does it irritate, or am I angry that there's no Big Ten participant? It doesn't. Because I'll be the first person to say, the SEC, hands down, is the best conference. But I'm going to be one of the few who'd say I don't think they're by far and away the best. But obviously they are the best conference. This proves it. It's just to see the SEC, everybody ascend on Indianapolis in your backyard, you know, and they're going to flock from Athens and Tuscaloosa to Indy with the SEC chants and da-da-dun-dun-dun, insert SEC team name, and there won't be any Big Ten love. It is like salt in a wound a little bit, you know. It's insult to injury, but like I said, they deserve it. It's just a little bit of a downer, you know, as a Big Ten man, to see that happening in our backyard. But hey, I'll deal with it. Don't worry about me. I'm not going to be depressed. I'll be okay. I'll bounce back. And the Big Ten, hopefully, will bounce back. We'll have to wait and see. But, so let's talk about the last time we saw these two teams on the field. You know, it was last week, and both really in dominant fashion, looked really good. Let's start with Alabama. On New Year's Eve, they ended the Cinderella run of Cincinnati season, in the Cotton Bowl. Convincing fashion, 27-6, but it wasn't easy for them over Cincinnati. And they executed a perfect game plan against the Bearcats. They rushed for over 300 yards because we heard a lot about that Cincinnati defensive backfield being ball hawks, and they are. I think 2 of their guys will absolutely be drafted in the early rounds of the draft. So what's the best way to cancel that out is to do what?
You run the ball.
Run the ball. And it was a great game plan. Great game plan by Alabama. And Georgia, we also saw them in the other college football playoff semifinal on New Year's Eve in the Orange Bowl. And they absolutely throttled the Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines, you know.
Your boy. Go
34-11.
Go blue.
Oh, the khakis. Not a good day for the old khakis. But still, what a great season for Michigan. Under the radar, no expectations, high pressure, totally new coaching staff. So there is no shame in what Michigan did this season. I mean, and we talked about that early this season. This could be a dangerous team. Nobody was putting anything on them.
Nobody was talking about them. And I think I told you, I'm like, they're going to be the team to watch, and they're going to make a push.
Yeah, I think Vegas had them a 7-win team.
Yeah.
7-win team. And they get to the... even unranked and get to the college football playoff. It's impressive. But yeah, so they looked absolutely impressive. They beat that ass of Michigan to Georgia. Sorry. Every now and then I do kind of curse, but I apologize. Wolverines! You know, I'm sorry. Did you see the new... I didn't see the remake of Red Dawn that came out 4 or 5 years ago.
I haven't seen it.
I don't think there's any need to.
No.
I'm going from the 80s. How can you remake that? I mean, come on.
Sometimes the stuff from the 80s, you just can't. You just got to leave alone. It's classic.
Yeah.
You just leave it be.
I mean, I think the enemy in this new make about 4 or 5 years ago is North Korea. How can that compare to good old-fashioned Mother Russia? That can't.
Right.
I don't get it. But Let me know. Maybe comment if you think the newer version's better, worse than the original. Why not? Let's have a little bit of fun with it. Gotta love Red Dawn. Now I feel like watching Red Dawn today. I just do. From the 1980s version. Okay? All right, so let's start now. Let's move into our matchups to watch during this football game. Let's go ahead and start with my first matchup to watch is the Georgia front seven, which is really an NFL caliber front seven. I mean, these are men among boys. These are titans among mortals. I mean, they are against that Alabama offensive line. What do you think about this matchup?
It's going to be good. It's going to be very good. You know, with Bama coming off 300 yards rushing, can Georgia slow them down?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's what it's going to come down to. That's going to dictate this whole game, I got a feeling, because, you know, defense wins ball games. Offensive games are fun to watch, but defense ultimately wins the game.
Yep.
And is that front seven going to stop Georgia? Is it going to shut down that run? Is it going to force them to pass?
We'll have to wait and see.
No.
I mean, in the SEC title game, that's what we heard so much about this vaunted defense, allowing 6.7 points a game, but they did not register a single sack against Alabama in the SEC title game. They have got to get in that backfield. I mean, you give Bryce Young time to throw, to go through his progressions, it might be game over for them early.
You know, if you force him to do that, to me, that's what's going to be a deciding factor, too, is he threw for over 4,500 yards this year.
Yeah.
So if you shut down that run game, it's going to open up the passing game. You shut that passing game, it's going to open the running game.
Yep.
And, you know, Robinson Jr. and Sanders, 1-2 punch out of that backfield,
Yeah.
it's going to be difficult.
That's my first matchup to watch, is the defensive line against the O-line. And they have got to get to Bryce Young if they're looking to pull. To me, this still would be an upset, even though they're favored. I mean, you're going against the GOAT, okay? It still, to me, would be an upset if Georgia wins, even though they're favored. But, yeah, they've got to get to Bryce Young. I mean, he carved them up like a Thanksgiving Day turkey in the SEC title game.
Right. And, you know, you're talking about that front seven. On the season, Georgia's defense has only given up 81.7 yards a game.
Wow. And that's kind of a little bit inflated with what Alabama did to them, too. Think about that.
Yeah.
And that is, it's sick.
Take that game, it would drop. But that can they repeat it?
I don't know, man. I don't know. And then the funny thing is the Alabama, just a week before that in the Iron Bowl. I mean, Auburn, I think they recorded 7 sacks. They were in the Alabama backfield all day long in a game that Alabama probably should not have won. We shouldn't have been having this conversation right now. I mean, Auburn was all over them. I mean, the Alabama O-line looked like Swiss cheese in that game. But then the SEC title game shut them down, not a single sack.
But, you know, here's the thing when it comes down to, I'm sure Saban, you know.
Ooh, yeah.
You can't go against this guy. You mess up, I'm sure those practices were very eventful.
I wouldn't want to be a participant in that practice.
He probably said,
week. I wouldn't like
said,
that.
no pads this week, bring your track shoes.
Just bring your shoes and your spikes, that's it. Okay? Now, my next matchup, and I'll pose it to you, the Black and Gold family, and you, Charlie, is kind of the reverse. The Alabama front seven versus the stable of Georgia's running backs. Now, Georgia doesn't have a 1,000-yard rusher, which is what normally we'd say is kind of like the normal, hey, 1,000 yards or more, that's a pretty good season as a running back. But this is what they do have. They've got 6 dudes who've rushed for over 200 yards, 3 of which have totaled over 300 yards on the season, and 2 of which have totaled over 600 yards. So they're deep at the running back position. So they're going to have fresh legs. So all 6 of these dudes can tote the rock.
Sure.
Okay. And quite frankly, we'll talk about quarterback Stetson Bennett for Georgia here next. But I believe that if Georgia can't move the sticks on the ground, it could also be a long day for them. So that's my other matchup to watch.
Here's another compelling stat. Bama's rushing defense, 82.8 yards a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Georgia's got at least try to get 150, 200. I'd say more closer to 200 to win. 175.
I honestly don't think they can get that high.
And Stetson Bennett is a guy who can make plays with his legs as our quarterback. He actually is one of the guys who's rushed for over 200 yards. So he is a little bit fleet of foot. He can make things happen if it breaks down. But you're playing against a upper-level defense now.
Yeah,
so,
you're not playing Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, I think his average on the season, I think was 5.9 yards. but you see the Alabama linebackers coming at you, yeah, you might want to maybe slide a couple yards early on that or get out of bounds. So we'll see. So that's my other big matchup to watch in this game, which I think could be one of the deciding factors with ultimately who hoists the trophy like Simba, okay? Let's do game changers. Do you have any game changers on the Alabama side, guys that people who maybe are just, hey, I'm going to tune in to watch? Who are some guys on the Alabama side that they need to be paying attention to?
Gotta go with my boy Young.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback
Yep.
position. He can run. He can throw 4,500 yards over the season. I think that, having that, this is a rematch. I think that Saban's, now, I'm not taking anything from Kirby.
Yep.
Kirby learned a lot from that game, but Saban's just as smart. He learned a lot from that game. So he knows, hey, this is what they made mistakes on. This is what they're going to correct. So how are we going to offset what they correct? And I think Saban's mind, he's like an Albert Einstein. Like, he's probably the most socially awkward person because his football IQ is through the roof.
Well, apparently he likes rat poison too. So, but yeah, I love that saying. I've heard this several times, like you probably have. How, if you don't know, Kirby Smart was a former assistant coach under Nick Saban, and Kirby Smart's had great success. Great success. We're not saying anything, taking nothing away from Coach Kirby Smart. But I love the old analogy that Kirby might say, "Well, Nick Saban taught me everything I know." But Nick Saban could come back and say, well, I didn't teach him everything that I know.
Absolutely.
Right, there we go. I love that
and just going back until
Love
this
that.
year, Nick Saban's former assistants have never beat him until this year.
Yep.
So the law of averages states, and we predicted that.
We did.
This year. We said it would
did.
happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
So this game's it's going to be very interesting.
Yep.
It's going to be a good one to watch.
For me, an Alabama game changer, I've got to go with Heisman snub linebacker Will Anderson Jr. I mean, I can't believe this guy. How can these stats not be in NYC? It's hard for a defensive player to win the Heisman. It'll happen again at some point. We've had this discussion before.
It'll happen eventually.
But these numbers, 54 solo tackles, 17 and a half sacks. Aiden Hutchinson had a great season for Michigan. There's no doubt about it. But his numbers absolutely trump what Aiden did, and he wasn't there. But I get it. Maybe if you're Alabama, you don't want two teammates to split votes. Right. But he was an absolute Heisman snub. He is definitely a game changer for Alabama. And I also think that Jameson Williams, their wide receiver who just ran wild in the SEC title game, former Ohio State transfer, a guy who was a stud, talented, just couldn't get on the field at Ohio State behind Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, Njigba, Wilson Garrett, guys who are going to the NFL.
He had 1,500 yards receiving.
1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns?
Yeah.
I think 15 touchdowns, 1,500 yards receiving. Definitely a big game changer too. And I think both of us would say also, I'm sorry, you've got to go with Nick Saban potentially, the GOAT. The mind that he is, going for his, he already is, going for his 8th national title.
So I saw a stat, but he uses when he recruits is he can tell any recruit that comes there, since he's been at Alabama, every recruit comes in has won a national championship.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And he's blinging with all of the rings too,
But think about that. As long as he's been there, it hasn't been year every year, but in a 4-year stretch when you've been there, every person that's been through his roster at Alabama has won a national championship.
Not just made a championship appearance, but won a title.
Won a title.
I mean, and if these young kids, talented kids who definitely do have potential as NFL prospects and players, they want to go where they can accomplish that to enhance their brand, advance themselves. And you're right. It's not fair. I mean, let's say Coach Drinkowicz or Coach Ferentz goes into the same house. Yeah, I mean, they have a chance. You always can flip guys, but it's right there. You're behind the 8 ball and then some. You just are.
But at the same time, our boys can go in and follow and say, hey, you go to Alabama, you might be a 4 or 5-star recruit, but you might sit at your position for 2 years. You come to us, and you're going to be a starter.
Yep.
You'll be an impact player from day one.
Program changer, potentially.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. All right. How about Georgia? Do you have any Georgia game changers that's on your radar that you want to maybe educate us about? Who should we be watching from the Georgia team?
From my point of view, it's not really a positive game changer. It's Stetson Bennett. I've been seeing a lot of articles, been doing a lot of research and reading about his mindset in the game and the confidence level going against this team if he has a great game, Georgia will be in there. But if he starts to struggle and he gets in his mind where he starts to fail and you have to rely on that running game, it's over for Georgia.
I think so too.
It'll be over quick because, I mean, then it'll become so one-sided. The safeties will creep up. You're going to stop that run. You're going to force him to throw. You're going to force him to make mistakes. And I don't know if he can get it done down the stretch.
Beautiful. Love that. Love that. And I'm actually going to piggyback off of that. That was one of my keys to victory, and I'll share this with you guys now. Kind of out of order, but it's okay. That was actually one of my keys to victory for Alabama is make Georgia play from behind. If they get down by more than 2 possessions, Stetson Bennett hasn't proven to me by watching him that he can beat you vertically through the air by himself. If they get behind by, let's say 2 touchdowns or more, it doesn't bode well for Georgia at all. I just don't think Stetson Bennett has the skill set and his receivers to come back from that far behind. I think you're absolutely right. That is a big-time key to victory for Alabama.
He's thrown for 2,638 yards on the season, which is still good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not a slouch. But if you look at his receivers, what they've got.
Iowa quarterback room, we take that.
That's because Iowa.
Well, yeah, it's true.
But, the receivers, nobody really stands out other than they're tight end. Bowers is, 846 yards. And then after that, you got Burton at 460.
Yeah.
Then it just dropped. It's such a drop. And then you just got, several guys like 400, 300, 200 on the season.
Yep.
You got guys having that in a game.
Yeah, I mean,
this is for the season.
Yeah,
so
the depth on the perimeter for them is very thin. It's pencil thin.
It is.
But yeah, and that's what I said. That's great. I love how you brought that up, and I absolutely agree with you. Is can they win from behind? If Alabama makes them one-dimensional through the air, oh boy, that could be tough. It could be tough to watch.
And it just seems like every one of Saban's team, they're like sharks in the water. If they start smelling blood, it just they go off.
Yep, the sharks are loose.
They'll start getting turnovers. They start getting points off turnovers, and all of a sudden now you're behind by 20 points.
That's right. Unleash the fury, Mitch. Bite into him. I love it. Love it. And for me, Georgia game changer, you said him, tight end Brock Bowers. I mean, this stud freshman, it is sick. This guy's skill set, it is unlike anything maybe I've seen. And last year, Kyle Pitts, the stud tight end from Florida who's in the NFL, having a good early career so far. But this is more impressive. And this is from an Iowa fan. This is what Iowa puts out, is stud tight ends. And this guy is an absolute monster. He's like Frankenstein's monster, but in a good way. I mean, his numbers on the season, 52 receptions. So right there, that shows you he's a chain mover, which that's what your tight ends need to be. 846 yards receiving, 12 touchdowns. He's only a freshman. I mean, this guy, and he killed Alabama in the SEC title game. He was the only really bright spot for that Georgia offense, which kept the game close.
Right.
I mean, if he has he's got to have a big game. He's got to have at least 10 receptions, I think, in this game. He doesn't have to have big-time yards. Let's say 10 for 150, maybe 1 touchdown, but they're going to need to have him show up and show out, I think, for Georgia. Also, you know me. I love me some special teams because I'm an Iowa guy. I mean, where we say, and this is maybe the problem, that punting is winning. I'm sorry, I love me some special teams. And maybe that's the whole issue, what's going on at Iowa once again. But hey, it's okay. It's worked for the most part. I think another game changer for Georgia is their punter, Camarda. He averages 47 yards per punt. That's pretty good. With a long on the season of 68 yards. And with that Georgia defense, just like Iowa, I think the first play on defense is a punt for field position. If they can win the field position, pin Alabama back inside the 20, inside the 10 off of punts, that's an absolute defensive win for Georgia with what they can do defensively. So Camarda, another one of my game changers for Georgia. So
I like it.
All right. I like it. I do too. I love me some special teams. I mean, I love the kickers. I mean, next year, Tory Taylor, the punter from down under, is staying at Iowa for one more year. Tory Taylor for Heisman. I'm saying it right now early. Right. Heisman, let's get it started. Right now, the offseason regiment begins. All right, let's move in now our keys to victory in this in the national championship game. Let's start off with Alabama. What are some keys to victory for Alabama? So maybe fill in the blank. Alabama wins if
Balanced offensive attack.
balanced offensive attack. Okay.
You know, that Georgia defense is ridiculously awesome.
Yeah,
Ridiculously awesome. You know, they're allowing
They're next
253 yards a game total offense. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Alabama's got a pretty good offense, you know, rushing, and you know they can throw. I think if you just keep them balanced, you keep that Georgia defense honest, you create mixed matches. It goes their way.
Okay. Any other keys to an Alabama victory? I know you've already kind of pointed out a few.
Yeah,
Get your game changers
you've got.
involved.
I mean,
execute.
You take your points. Don't try to do too much. Be smart. Get as many points as you can. Put Georgia in a little bit of a hole. Make Stetson Bennett beat you.
Yep. I'm with you.
I think that if you force her hand, you slow down that running game a little bit. You force him to beat you.
Game over.
Saban's gonna be smiling just like he always does.
Yep. He's gonna have one less finger.
One less finger.
One less finger without a ring on it. For me, I already said, I think, and I agree with you, you said it too earlier, and I'll say it again, Alabama, if they have to make Georgia play from behind, it bodes well for them. I think it'd be tough for Georgia to come back if they're down by 14 points or more, because I'm just not sold on Stetson Bennett's quick strike ability. I'm just not if they become one-dimensional. And also for Alabama, try to neutralize that Georgia defense. If they protect and keep quarterback Bryce Young, the Heisman Trophy winner, upright and safe, give him a good pocket, that's another big key victory for them. If they can duplicate what they did in the SEC title game, which that's going to be saying a lot. It just is. But if they can have any sort of advantage or replicate that even a little bit, definitely it's going to favor Alabama, hoisting the trophy at the end of the game. So, all right. And also, I think they need to don't do the Georgia defense any favors. Obviously, turnovers always go far. Whoever wins a turnover battle in any game, but especially when you have the two best teams playing each other. And definitely don't help them by giving the Georgia offense any aid with field position too. Okay. How about Georgia? So Georgia wins if
Stetson Bennett gets going, gets some confidence up. They establish a running game, and you know, Kirby Smart. They have to play to the point where, you know, high percentage throws. Don't make them try to force the ball.
Yep.
You keep moving that change. You eat the clock. You keep the Alabama defense off the field. You got to be moving that ball.
Yep.
You got to be moving that ball to get it to
just
go.
take what they give you.
Absolutely.
Just take what they give you. There's no need to get greedy. Just take what they give you.
Don't be like Kirby. A lot of times, you know, he'll have something that's working, and then he'll want to change it up a little bit as a, you know, I gotta. You take what they give you. You know, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
High percentage throws, keep Stetson's confidence up, make them, you know, punch for punch down the stride. It gives you a really good chance.
Perfect.
Because I mean, you look at the Georgia's running; they're averaging 194 yards a game, rushing.
Yeah.
You've got to have that to keep that passing open.
Yeah, they do. I don't think they have to necessarily eclipse that, but they got to 150, 175. At least they've got to come up with that.
Yeah.
Do something, get some traction through the run game. They have to. They can't put it all on Stetson Bennett's shoulders. They just can't do that. Okay? Now, for me, keys to victory for Georgia, I've got the defense must live in the Alabama backfield. They have got to get to quarterback Bryce Young. They've got to get some sacks. They got to close those rushing lanes, win the point of attack. You're not gonna shut out the Alabama run game. I'm not saying that, folks. And all of you who watch the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, you're all good fans. You're intelligent, intelligente. So you know what I'm saying. Slow them down, make it rough going. And to quote the late, great Al Davis, the quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. Get to Bryce Young. Get in his head. Because watching the Cotton Bowl, Cincinnati was able to get some pressure on Bryce Young, and that did force a couple errant throws.
It did.
I mean, they were in the backfield a little bit, but just wasn't enough to really be a game-changing.
And I think Georgia's can get in the backfield more than Cincy. No knock against Cincy.
Yeah.
But I think Georgia's got players that can definitely get there.
Yep. And the other key to victory for me for Georgia is, once again, keep it close. Don't fall behind by too long full possessions. By that, I mean 14 points. If you're down 10, that's still doable, but I think if they fall behind by 14 points or more, it's going to be tough sledding for them. But most importantly, my key to victory for Georgia, because I believe in the old playing those mind games together, like John Lennon would sing. I think Georgia, they have to exorcise the demons of Alabama and Nick Saban of the past. Kirby Smart comes into this game 0-4 straight up against Nick Saban and Alabama, and we saw what happened a few weeks ago in the SEC title game. They just need to get that out of their mind. And if it's a close game, or if Alabama early does what Alabama does, it's definitely going to rattle them mentally. I think they've had to do a lot of soul searching, looking inward to say, okay, we came in a stud defense, we were shredded. Is there some doubt? Not just overall, but hey, Alabama has had our number. Can they get over that hump? That's what I think. It's that mental edge that Georgia has to not get thinking about. Here we go again. Alabama's got our number. Coach Saban in Kirby Smart's head. What does this guy have over me? It's like Coach Klein.
Coach Klein.
Coach Klein, from the Water Boy. And what was it, Bo? What was the... It was Coach Klein and Bo... I forget the coach's name that he faced off against.
This still his offensive playbook.
Was it Bo? What the hell was his name?
Was it not Bo Shambo?
It'll come to us.
Yeah.
It'll come to us. If not, next episode, which we'll have next week, definitely going to have a national championship game reaction and recap early next week after the national championship game. So that's our keys to victory, our game changers and matchups to watch. Now, let's move into what could be the deciding factor on, do I get shut out on the whole season, or can I at least claim bowl season supremacy and pick 'em?
So, since I'm a nice guy, I will go opposite of what you pick. Win or lose.
I love that.
Win or lose, because I think Georgia's defense can keep them in the game.
Okay.
I think Georgia's defense could be a deciding factor, but Bama's got a Heisman winner. So win or lose, I like my chances. So I'll go opposite of what you pick.
Okay. And
there's pros and cons on both sides.
Yeah, there is, absolutely.
I'm that type of guy. You're my boy. Mm-hmm. I'll go opposite of what you pick.
You're my boy, Blue. That's right. But off air, you can tell me who you would have picked. How about that? just between us.
I would probably go Georgia because I think their defense is going to keep that. They're going to learn from their mistakes in that championship game.
Gotcha.
0-4, law of averages. Kirby Smart gets redemption.
Yep. And I'll say this before I unveil my prediction who's going to hoist the trophy, hoist, is I think that SEC title game kind of was a little bit of an enigma. I mean, I'm not saying Alabama is capable of beating them and beating them twice, which is difficult to do. Alabama absolutely can beat them again, but I think that mental edge, because Georgia kind of knew, and I think they knew no matter what happened, win, lose, or draw, we're going to be in the playoff field. So I think when they fell behind after getting out to a 10-0 lead, then it just went south very quickly. I think at that point you lose that edge to where, okay, we're beat, they've got our number, but you know what? We're still going to make the playoffs. We're going to have another shot at them later. Mm-hmm. I think the motivation at that point kind of goes out the window a little bit.
Georgia looked a little bit flat in that game.
Yeah.
And, here's something to think about. I'm not gonna go there until after I hear your pick.
Yeah, but I would have much rather have seen if the SEC title game was more invictive of, hey, winners in, losers out, then I think we could have said, okay, I think right now this team has the edge. But I think that wasn't necessarily the best gauge because of where Georgia mentally could have been, knowing, hey, we're going to be in no matter what, taking nothing away from Alabama and the GOAT, not doing that at all.
And Kirby's a smart guy.
Yeah,
he will get those boys. He will correct their mistakes, offset what needs to be done, and I truly believe that this might be his time.
I love that soundbite too. After the Michigan shellacking, to where if you're a Michigan fan or your coach Khakis or his staff to say, basically, we don't care about beating Michigan. We're not going to celebrate this.
No.
We're eyes on the prize. I mean, that's kind of a low blow, but I love it. Say, we don't care. We're not going to celebrate this.
Right.
We don't care about this Michigan game. We've got one game that we're focused on.
Yeah.
Love that.
And the fact that they rolled Michigan with that mentality.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yes. Go dangerous. Okay. So prediction time. The GOAT, Nick Saban on one sideline, going for his 8th national championship, the 7th at Alabama, which is unheard of in this day and age, the staying power. He's 4-0 against Kirby Smart, his former assistant. I mean, they've been close games. They have been. So it would be stupid for me to pick against Alabama. And there's no doubt. But I never claimed to be an intelligent man. This is what I'm thinking. I think this is, to kind of describe it more through lines from song or movies. Georgia, they're not going to throw away their shot. They're not going to throw away their shot. Or some Eminem, Georgia, if you had one chance, one shot, one opportunity. Or from the classic movie The Deer Hunter, which a lot of you watching probably have never seen, one shot. This what you want, Nikki? One shot? I love you. I mean, come on. Great movie. You ever seen The Deer Hunter?
I have.
Hung Sung Mao, him. Love it. So that's right. I am picking the Georgia Bulldogs to exercise the demons and pull the unofficial but official upset of Alabama in the national championship game. Kirby Smart gets the last laugh. He hoists it. He gets his first ring. And they party like it's 1999 down in Athens, Georgia. I'm going with Georgia.
All right, so then I'll go with Bama. Like
All
I said,
right.
I'll go opposite.
All right,
So-
there we go. So we have a lot on the line
That was
here.
a true tiebreaker.
There we go. We love that. I was going to say, we could have picked both teams and said we could have gone with the score. We could have done if you want to pick Georgia.
Well, win or lose, it's my conference winning.
That's true. Either way, he wins the crown. That's how it is. He wins the overall crown. He's just maybe taking a little bit of sympathy on me, making sure I come back and want to face off next year again. But that's it. So Charlie's going with Bama. I'm going with Georgia. And we thank you, as always, for your support, your
Absolutely.
viewership, everything you've done for the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog channel throughout the season. It is coming to an end, but I've got some big things planned for you and for us moving forward. I'll kind of unveil those next week during the national championship game reaction and recap episode. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football. Stay safe. Peace, progress, prosperity. And thanks for joining us on this special episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog. All right, we'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves.